Let go.
What is going on, everybody? This is your man, Teasy Scott Monteasy, the big guy, the big man, whatever you want to call me, man. I'm losing weight, though. I'm getting back in shape. And we have a lot of things going on this wonderful episode, man. I have been able to bring in a great friend of mine who I've met in this entertainment world, this entertainment business that we call it. You know, the few and the fine people that you meet in your life that becomes your friends in this world, you got to keep them close. And through my passing, meeting through Swerve, I met this man. He has become a great friend of mine. We speak outside of work and what we all do in our crazy lives. This man's one of the best in the world at what he does. This is my big bro, my homie, Big Damo. What is going on with you, man? What's going down?
Hey, dude, that was an awesome introduction. Thanks very much. You're the man.
Hey, man. Well, thank you for coming on Teasy there, brother. That's it. That's right. Well,
you said about the Teasy's table. I'm just representing right now, just so we're clear here, you know.
Absolutely, man. He's representing. I'm slacking. I'm wearing this. I'm wearing the Rays merch. I just left the gym.
It's working for you, bro. It's working for you. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I'm trying, brother. A short man over here gotta make it work somehow the way we can.
I dig it.
First question I have, man, on this illustrious Teasy's Table, this Teasy's Table podcast, quarantine podcast. The first thing I like to ask everybody, man, is how you doing, bro? How's life?
Good so far. Thank you so much. That's one of the easiest questions that I've got asked. So I've had honestly, like this last few weeks have been crazy. Like I'm doing my very best to remain positive because so I had like all the weirdest little things happen. We had to change our AC and all this kind of stuff, you know, in the middle of fucking Florida summer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've had a few other little things like hit us all at the same time. But, you know, I'm smiling, I'm happy, and we're getting through it. So
absolutely, brother. You know, it's good to see you smiling, brother. It's always good to see you. Whenever I saw you, man, you're always in great spirits. You took me in this family, man. You've always had a great rapport with me, man. I truly appreciate that, man. Just being a fan of what you do and everything, man. And it's good to see that you're doing well in great spirits, man, because this pandemic has been crazy. You know, this pandemic, we're still in the middle of it. It's, you know, things are getting better. There's somewhat are, somewhat not. You hear many different things each and every day. I stopped watching the news, brother, because it got crazy.
Of course, dude. Like, so I've been trying to figure out. So I've been kind of unwell for like just a couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks, and we're trying to figure out like what it was. And I had to get like an air quality check and stuff in the house because we were genuinely worried there was something happening like outside of our control. You know what I mean? But it seems like I might have like a long-term effect of this virus, dude. So like it's not affecting me in my day-to-day at all. Like I'm no longer like I had it like in November or something like that, and like it's weird. I've just been having like this shortness of breath and stuff like that I've never had to worry about. But you know, I'm doing my research now, and I'm having to try and get checked on it because there's nothing else it can be, and we've literally like we've tried to check a bunch of stuff because like it doesn't even hit me all the time. But we started thinking like, is there something in the house that I'm doing wrong? You know what I mean? Am I doing something bad here?
Right.
And but it's something called long COVID, which is like after effects. Like, because I was asymptomatic when I had COVID. So, but one of the weird things is you can get long-term things afterwards, which is bizarre. Like I was really lucky to be asymptomatic. I know we got tested like regularly at that point and whatever else. And, you know, I didn't get sick, but I've been having like these long-term things after, which is crazy. Like, but I'm reading now that like it's up to 20% of people who've had it are having the same things, which is crazy. I'm one of those people who's very lucky. I'm not really allergic to anything. I rarely get sick. I had the flu once in my life, you know what I mean? So like I'm very, very blessed when it comes to these kind of things. So this has been a really weird, like, you know, after effect of this pandemic, which might be hitting us for a little longer, you know, as we start going back to normal, and you know what I mean? So,
right.
But yeah, it's crazy. But listen, like I'm very lucky because I don't have any major issues, any major problems. I was very lucky that I was asymptomatic, for example. But this is just one of those weird things, like a shortness of breath, fatigue, things like that, which I wouldn't have.
Right.
And we've checked everything, and like it's nothing else. So it's crazy, man. But listen, like that's an easy thing to deal with, like for me personally. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
just have to take a little bit longer of a rest and shit like that. You know what I mean? But dude, it's crazy because you think of all the what people have gone through this last year and a half, 2 years. You know what I mean? It's been utterly crazy. Like the fact that I remember we were trying to hook up last year, and at that point Nikki and I didn't leave the house for God. It must have been like, except for work, we didn't leave the house for 6 months or something. You know what I
Right,
mean? So,
right,
like,
absolutely. We was trying
and
to
it was
get up
it's
and hang out.
crazy, man.
It was crazy how that is. And I was the same way, dude. Once it got bad, I didn't leave the house. I worked out at home, and I ended up slacking off a little bit, which I had to get back on. But it just ended up, being so much. And it's been a lot. There's a lot of people who've lost people due to this and things like that. And one thing I want to say is, to everybody out there, please get well, man. Glad to see you're in great spirits. You, the wife, the family, everything is in great spirits, man. First things first, man. Let's get into this, man. Have you been keeping up with your Orlando Magic, man? Have you seen what is going on with this team, man?
Oh, dude.
So if you have any rants or any positive things, please tell me what you think about this upcoming season coming up with your boys.
So like Orlando, we knew it was going to come eventually. They were going to have to blow up the team because they've been together for a long time. Like Vucevic is one of those guys. He's just below that top 10 kind of player. Um, Fournier, like there was all these guys who were all good, like T. Ross and everything, but there was no out and out star. But they were all eating up huge amounts of contract and everything else. And if you're going to renew these guys like Aaron Gordon, you're going to have to pay them top dollar. And it's a shame because it was a decent team. It just wasn't a great team. And like we could beat people and then we could lose. We could go on runs of serious losses. We might have always hit that first round of the playoffs, which is fine, but it's incredibly hard to we're not filling the Amway even before COVID. You know what I mean? So like,
right.
it's crazy because like there's nobody that's making me go. What, like if I go once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever, that's cool. But I'm not going to go every game because I don't know if there's any need to. You know what I mean? And I guess that same apathy is what everybody else is coming up with because sometimes they play well and they play inspired and sometimes they didn't. So it didn't surprise me that they blew up the team. And like, I'm not sure what to think, like what's going to come of next year's roster at all. We drafted okay, I think, you know what I mean? And I'm excited to see like how these guys come together, but I don't know who wants to come and coach here long term because it's another project within a project, man. I think Orlando's in this cycle since we lost Dwight Howard. We've just been in this crazy like cycle. We get to the point of getting into the playoffs, and then that's our plateau. It's like a glass ceiling. Like every few years, we kind of get to the same stage. But fingers crossed, one or two of these guys can really blow up, and something can happen. But right now, it's worrying really, because all the if you look around us, like especially in the West Coast, there's just so many big teams, super teams, whatever else. Like I don't know how we're going to compete with the likes of the Lakers and stuff like that until hopefully they all retire, and then we might have a chance. So.
Yeah, man. Look at. I mean, you guys have. This is the thing, right? About Orlando. Orlando's been blessed to always have at least one every 10 years a franchise guy kind of come around. Vucevic, Shaq,
Yep.
Penny, Dwight. You know what I mean? Rashard Lewis came over. You know what I mean? You guys had. I loved Rashard Lewis. Turkaloo was dope, man. When he wanted to play,
he was sick, man.
When he was focused, that boy was a problem.
Oh, dude, he was good.
He
would give you a triple double one night, then he would like shoot like 1 from 10 the next night,
so. and get scored. And the dude would have like 40 on him too. He would play so no defense either, bro. It's crazy because I look at Orlando and I look at the future. I'm like, man, I like Cole Anthony a lot. I love him. I love Cole.
Yeah. I love he's explosive, man.
I love his style. T. Ross is kind of like the veteran there. Shout out to Terrence. I think that
Isaac's had difficulty with injury, man. Like I thought he was going to blow up. Like Markel Fultz, I thought we did a really good job turning him around, and he gets the same injury as Isaac, man. It was start of last season was crazy. But like, listen, it looks like we've drafted pretty well. Like, so we'll see, man. Like, I'm excited because like, um, Suggs and Wagner like both look decent and stuff. So I don't know, like, um, I think we've been unlucky. Like Bamba didn't really kick on.
It's just
we've
his
been.
cardio, bro. His cardio won't hold up, bro.
I
But
know it sucks because he looks so good too as
yeah,
a young guy. Like,
yeah.
um,
He
but we'll
looks
see. Like,
real good.
it's exciting going forward if everybody gets fit, and that's always the problem with the likes of Isaac and with Fultz because they've carried some serious injuries here now, and like I hope that they can get fit and get healthy because we can build a team around them. Like, but I don't know. I'm not overly excited about next season. I'll go and see them, of course, because I really enjoy going to the Amway and stuff like that.
Word, man.
And it's a cool experience and everything. And like I've been going there for years. I've been a Orlando fan since '93, I think it was. So like, I've seen the best and I've seen the worst, and now it's a very young team, very exciting at times. But they're going to be ill-disciplined. It's going to be a lot to try and get them ready. But it's going to be an exciting few years regardless, because they might get some good wins here and there. And if one of these guys blows up, like as you said, Cole Anthony's exciting and stuff like that. Like there's just so many of them who have potential, but it's like, are they going to reach it? That's the key, man. I hope so. I really hope so.
All it takes is this is the thing about sports. All it takes is one player to change things, and as long as that person's that good or that dominant, you know what I mean. Everybody will follow suit. Like you look at Luka in Dallas. Nobody would have thought Dirk's replacement would have been that, but now everybody wants to go play with him, and he's taking the league by storm now because they just drafted the right person. I think that Orlando has always had luck to get somebody. I think within the next few years, you guys will have somebody again. Like my Spurs are going through the same thing. My Spurs we're finally young and we're finally rebuilding. And it looks weird because I've never gone through this as a fan. So this is my first time watching us, and I'm like, well, in the West,
Spurs have been pretty sick for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't complain, but it just looks weird. There's nobody with DeRozan gone now. We're just all young. We're all So I feel you, bro, and I think Orlando has something, man, where they have this. They're not going to stay down for too long. You know what I mean? It's just that sometimes you got to pay people what they want, and they feel like guys like Aaron Gordon and Vucevic did his justice there. He did the best he could. But sometimes you just don't want to be stuck like that seventh AC team because you're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Nobody comes there, but you're not bad either. You know what I mean? It's like no star will come help, but you're not terrible either.
Free agency is always going to be difficult for Orlando because, we're not that giant market. Like Miami might get a big star, Orlando are a bit less likely. And it's just one of those things they have to deal with. So they have to trade smart and they have to draft smart. And like, let's hope that, we get a bit of luck with drafts and stuff down the line. Our main problem has been, we've drafted guys who look great potential wise, and then they don't reach it, and that's something that's ever since like Shaq and Penny, we have really struggled with drafting. It's just, I think we got all of our luck out of the window in the early 90s. And then since then it's been like, yeah, you can draft this guy, and then he doesn't really reach his potential. Then you let him go somewhere else, and he becomes amazing, like Oladipo, and like stuff like that. Just
they become fire. Like it's like what happened?
Dude, like, and I loved Oladipo, by the way, because he was defensive god. Like, and then like he went away, and he blew up. He was actually scoring better. I couldn't believe it.
Like, from like 17 points, like 28. It's like how?
What? How? I mean? Like, where did this go? Where was this guy? You know what I mean? But like, listen, like I remember like towards the end of the 2000s, like 08, 09, 10, when we had Dwight here and people wanted to play with Dwight. And like, we brought Rashad Lewis and stuff. Like we got ourselves all the way to the playoff finals. It was sick. It was a great experience, and it was great to be a fan of the team at the time. But the hope is that we can try and repeat that down the line. And as you say, like it's all a cycle. They'll hopefully get somebody else who'll turn good. You don't know, like, will Anthony turn up good? Like, will Bamba get it together? Like, it could happen. And then, weirder things have happened, and we might get a good run. Like if we could finish the playoffs in like fourth or something like that, then you never know, like because then it could work in your favor. You know what I mean? It's when you finish in eighth, you have to play against the first seed. You know what I mean? And then you're like, you're fighting a losing battle right at the start, you know.
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely. You're lucky to get a game out of it sometimes with the
yes,
way
sir.
with the play
4-0,
first
swept a lot of
season.
the time.
Absolutely, man. Now let me ask you this question. Been a fan since 1993, as you stated. You have a starting lineup. You could pick your top five Magic by point guard to center.
Oh
Who was
shit.
your all-time Magic lineup? And who's your
So,
sixth man?
oh, that's a good question. So Scott Skiles probably.
Is your coach?
Well, I was thinking playing, man. It's assistant
Your
genius.
point
You know what
guard.
I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Absolutely,
maybe my
absolutely.
point. Maybe Nick Anderson, shooting guard. I know I forgive him for missing those free throws against Houston. You know, I forgive him. Small forward, Penny. Power forward. That is a great question about power forward. Like obviously Dwight. I'll go Shaq at center, and maybe we'll go Dwight at power forward. Sixth man, Turkoglu, I think. But I don't know if I like the idea of Shaq and Dwight, but you know, it proves that there was so much talent here over the years. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
But I love Nick Anderson. He's one of my favorite players of all time. He was just such a reliable player until we got to the finals. It was crazy. But like, you know, legend of a player, man. Come on. Like, you know, Penny could play anywhere. Like that's one of the cool things about Penny. You could actually play him at a point, which is weird because you know his kind of style is like so much more possible nowadays. You know, but he was playing like this kind of point forward really early. You know, when you think like he was playing that in the '90s, which is crazy. Like because he was so incredibly talented. But we've had like Vince Carter and we've had like Grant Hill and stuff. So many great talent have been through here. So it's really tough. So I'd say I'll maybe go Dwight on the bench actually, right? We'll go with maybe play Penny at the power. Maybe
would you not
that's
put
too small. Maybe that's
would
too
you not
small.
put Prime T Mac in there?
That's what I'm saying. He can play shooting guard, but we're going for Nick Anderson, haven't I? So it's too tough, right? So I'll go with my original, and I'll go with maybe T Mac as sixth man instead of Turkoglu. But that's tough going because I love Turkoglu. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I remember we played Turkoglu as point guard once, and he was awesome.
he might have to play no defense either.
Oh well, Turkoglu on defense, yeah. But he could pass, he could shoot, he could sometimes rebound, you know. But no, we've been very blessed. We've had like a hell of a good bunch of players in my lifetime, anyway. You know what I mean? But
absolutely. How would you see? I got to ask a deep rooted Orlando Magic question, right? How was your feeling when you saw Shaq left and Dwight left? Like how was that feeling?
Shaq leaving was a kick in the stones because basketball got really massive in my country like around about a year or two before Shaq left us. So that's what, you know, I became a fan when Shaq was there because listen, you were getting trading cards and Orlando were always in the decks and stuff. So that's how I ended up becoming an Orlando fan, was just I happened to get like I think it was a Brian Shaw trading card, which is crazy to think like. And I loved the logo. I was like, oh, what a sick logo. And then like so I'm 8 years old or whatever it was at the time. And then, you know, like you start watching television and like Shaq's incredible. We've drafted Penny, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, we draft Wallace and trade for Penny. You know, and then like Shaq leaves like a year after that. And you hear the details and you hear that we didn't want to like pay him what he was getting paid, but he wanted to go to LA because he was doing movies like Shazam and all that crap. And it's like I was so disappointed because like you just sat and watched. He went and won so many rings. You know, he created a dynasty with Kobe. Then he went to fucking Miami of all places, and he created a dynasty there. You know what I mean? So or a dynasty, whatever. And so like, and then Dwight, like, so we knew Dwight was maybe wanting out a while before it. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I hated Dwight. I think because he in his final year he got the coach fired and he brought in a couple of his friends. And we sucked. You know what I mean? We were crap. He brought in Big Baby and stuff like that, and he was like desperate to get Big Baby here and stuff, and like it didn't work, you know. And it was weird because like, you know, we all wanted to love Dwight, but when he showed his true colors, he went off chasing a ring, and it took him nearly a decade to get it. So, you know, his decision making process wasn't up to much.
He got the almost doesn't count ring is what they call it.
Honestly, he came close, man. He nearly had to have a medical retirement a couple of years ago. So, but he got his ring, you know, fair play to him and everything else. But listen, he went off chasing for that ring, and like he showed his loyalty to us at the point because we bent over backwards for him, and then he wanted out. And Shaq let us know right from the start. He was like, it was his first contract, and we didn't offer him the max deal. And he
Right.
went and got it. Dwight kind of gave us the runaround. We blew up the team for him, and then when he left, like, dude, we were lucky to get Vooch, and Vooch got good for us eventually. But that was not a great trade for us otherwise. So, but it took him a long time to get it. And, Dwight's one of those people like, talks a good game, tries to be Mr. Nice Guy and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't buy it.
High maintenance dude, man. And sometimes it just doesn't click, man. Sometimes them high maintenance, talented guys, in a way, they have a shelf life with people, and there's only so much that people can deal with them. You know what I mean? I mean, that's just facts.
Yes, sir.
I mean? It's just that's just the way that it goes. I mean, I root for him, man. I root for Orlando, man. I definitely am going to go to some games, man. Hopefully we can go together to some.
Yes,
man.
Sir. Definitely, bro.
Nothing but a drive away. I'll definitely pull up, man, and go to some games. I was promising myself I was going to go see more basketball games, so that gives me the incentive to go now. And
100%, bro. We'll catch a couple of games this year. Maybe the 76ers are in town, or maybe the Spurs are in town. We'll go and see.
yeah. Let's do the Spurs and like
yes, sir.
Whoever, like, we'll do like a fun bet, like if we'll do like a free throw bet. If so-and-so missed more free throws, so I do like 30 push-ups or something. I'm cool with that.
I'm in. I'm sold, bro. I'm sold.
Okay. Man, it's funny because, continue on the basketball real quick. You see how the landscape of the league is, right? And everybody's teaming up. Everybody's teaming together. Are you a fan of that, or you're not a fan of that?
It's interesting, right? Like when Miami did it with LeBron, Wade, and Chris Bosh. I mean, it was very unique. They all took wage cuts to try and make it work and blah, blah, blah. But like, people think it's a new concept. It's not new. Like, it's just more, we're better marketing it now. You know what I mean? Like, veterans would always play on good teams, if you know what I mean, for less money and stuff. So, but like right now, I think people are pressured and they feel that they have to team up with guys, and we've seen it doesn't work a lot of the time. Like a lot of guys, like, nobody's really been able to team up great with Harden. A lot of people have tried. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Like, there's times it works and there's just times it doesn't. I mean, anybody teams up LeBron, generally it's going to work. He works pretty well with most people. Like, but it's a difficult thing in itself. Because especially if you're a ball carrier and you go to a team that already has one. Like that's why I'm saying it must be very difficult to play with the likes of Westbrook and Harden and stuff like that, because they need the ball. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're a player who doesn't need the ball and still performs well, then you're the perfect team up guy, But if you're a guy who needs the ball all times, very difficult to team up with. So I find it really interesting a lot of the time, like where people go and stuff like that. And like, it's off-putting sometimes, like when you see, okay, the West has like two giant teams and then the East has like no good teams. And it happens sometimes,
man.
But it's just the way the world, it's the way sport is in general. Like, if it's marketable, people are going to do it. And like, it can be cool, like when you see like a random team, like the Spurs, for example, when you guys put together those teams, like the early 2000s, man, like, there's different times, you put something great together, then Boston would die off, then Boston would come back with something huge.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting when you watch like the Lakers, like, were the shits for a couple of years, and then boom, they come back and they've nailed it, and the only one that's been the weirdest has been the Knicks. You know what I mean? Like, just never seemed to.
That front office, dude. That front office, bro. Nobody wants to play for Dolan and the Knicks, man. That
which is crazy. It's the Knicks.
I know. That goes to show you, ain't it crazy that you can have the most money as a franchise out of all the franchises, and just because of how the top is ran, nobody wants to show up there. That says a lot, man.
Dude, it's crazy. Like,
you kick out Spike Lee. How you kick out Spike Lee, bro?
Because he was getting so mad. Like, it was crazy. Like, oh, he was so upset.
People at Madison Square Garden don't know who Patrick Ewing is.
Oh my
you know what I mean? Like he should have a key to this. He should have a key to the arena, bro. Like, it's crazy, man. I feel, my personal opinion, man. I don't mind it if it's, how can I say this? I don't mind it if it's in just of it being in the sake of playing good team basketball, but it also goes to show you, this is my personal opinion, I think the players are afraid of not saying they won. They didn't win. because of the way that social media and how the news is today. With these athletes, they're under so much pressure with ESPN, First Take, all this stuff.
Oh,
People dissecting their every move every day. The last thing they want to hear is that they didn't get a ring. That's the last thing they want to hear.
but it's like it's now. I think they feel pressured into continually like chasing it. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
You know, and I wonder, like, is that always going to be the future? Is it always going to be you have to get a ring or you're nothing? Like for a while, it was like, you know, if you were an all-star, that was enough. You know what I mean? Like so, you know, if you played on a little team that never won, it was okay because you were an all-star every year. You know what I mean? Like if you were stuck at Utah and you could have a full career there, you know what I mean? Because it was okay. You know, you played great ball, you just never quite made it to that, you know, the top of the league. But like now it's different. But I think it's funny though, a lot of the people who are the most, you know, who give out the most criticism and stuff like that on like ESPN, whatever else, they didn't win rings. You know what I mean? So Shaq can say a lot because Shaq did win rings, yeah. But like,
and he was the reason, right? He was one of the two reasons, right?
But am I right in saying Barkley never won a ring?
Barkley never won.
You know what I mean? So this guy who was a perennial all-star, yes, but he's the first to bury people for not winning rings, and I'm like, brother, you never won one,
right?
So I don't know. Like, there's just a couple of people like that who like very quick to open their mouth about people, and then they never won either. You know what I mean? But that's just this current. Like this current world we live in right now, it's like they've decided that you must win a ring or you didn't succeed.
Question: if you have the option to be an all-star and an NBA champion, you win an NBA championship and you're an all-star, or be a Hall of Famer, which one are you going to pick? Because there's all-stars who didn't make the Hall of Fame and they're a champion. Or would you have a illustrious career and be a Hall of Famer? You'll be an all-star in the Hall of Fame, but you never won a ring. Which one would you choose?
Oh, that's crazy. I guess as an Orlando fan, it'll probably be the Hall of Famer because the likelihood of winning a ring.
That's how I pick too. Because I say, you know what? This is where the ego kicks in right here, right? It's like, you know,
sir.
I might not be able to kick ass and win a ring, but you know what? I gave a lot of people some buckets, bro. I gave a lot of buckets at the point guard, bro. And I'm here. I might not be able to talk the championship talk, but I'm one of the 300 people in this room.
Oh, there you go.
And I got this jacket. I got this jacket. So hey, I didn't win the ring, but I tell you what, I got mighty close. And there's 300 people in this room that I can sit next to and say I was great. So I'm good.
Dude, your reasoning is perfect. I love it. I'm in. I'm sold. You know?
Like, hey man, listen, man. It is what it is, brother. Let me ask you this as well. What other sports are you keeping up with? I know you're into football. I know you're other things. Tell me a little bit about other things to update the fans. What you're into now. Your other favorite sports that you're into as well, and we'll get into.
So I'm a lifetime soccer fan. We call it football in Europe, but like it's obviously it's soccer here. Like soccer's been like a massive part of my life since I was, oh my God, like since I could walk, I was kicking a football. And it's crazy. Like, you know, you go through periods where you fall out of love with it, you love it, you fall out of love, you love it. But like since I moved here, like it's become like my number one hobby. Like I do podcasts about it. I'm listening to podcasts about it. I'm doing fantasy football.
Yeah,
I'm watching.
That's your thing, bro. Yeah,
I'm all in. I am all in because, you know, like listen, a lot of my colleagues and stuff like that, like wrestling is a crazy industry, right? But anytime anybody ever asks me advice, I always say get a hobby. Get something outside of this because you can send yourself crazy because you know my industry is. It can be the coolest and the most frustrating thing on the same day, you know. And so you need to have another outlet, you need to have another adventure like that you can. So say, you know, there might be a period where you're hurt, or there might be a period where you might not be on television for a while. You need to have outlets, and you know, and I be honest with you, like anytime any of the young guys came and spoke to me, I always said the same thing, like get a good hobby that you can invest time into that won't take away from what you're doing. If anything, it might add to it. You know what I mean? And like for me, soccer, like, because I was so into it as a kid, I played it up until I played for my college and stuff like that. And like, I always knew I wanted to be a wrestler, like from I was 4 years old, right? But when it comes to football, like football was just everything, you know. And like I loved a bunch of other sports. You know, I love basketball. You know, I love rugby when I was growing up, and there was a bunch of other stuff that I really followed. But listen, I spend the majority of my day. I'm talking up to 4 hours a day, talking to people, reading about and listening to about football. It's become such a passion, and it's so cool because living here in the States, I get the access to every single game possible, right? Whereas when you live in the UK, there's different laws and rules because they want to encourage people to go to the games, which is fine, but it means even if you live hundreds of miles away from the games, you can't watch them. You can only watch like a certain percentage, and like I was paying more money living in the UK to get half the game availability than I pay here, and I can get every game from all over the world. So it's a crazy system, and like it's something that has made it a lot easier for my passion and stuff here. Yes, sometimes I have to get up at 5 a.m, which sucks to watch a game, but you know, I get up, you know, and I do it. You know,
it comes with it. Hey man,
gotta do it. You gotta do it.
I hope what's something like that. See, I'll be honest with you. I'm not that way about wrestling like I used to be. And I think it's because somebody said once you get to a certain level in other things, the passion for it might change and it might go into other things. I was a musician that was a wrestling fan his whole life. I got into wrestling, got to a certain point, and was like, you know what, there's certain things about this I don't need to be involved in, so I'm going to back up a little bit. You know what I mean? And then it ended up being the same thing about basketball, football, but I'm that way about video games. Like I talk video games all day with my people because which year was the best Madden or which year this you know, and we'll sit up and we'll talk about that. And I always tell people as a musician too, in any form of entertainment in life, you got to have other hobbies and other things to do, man, because your profession, especially in the professions we're in, the entertainment business where there's no structure, it's not like going to McDonald's every day. You know, when you're the general manager, what your job is as a general manager at McDonald's. You know what you're going to do. You're going to, for the 1 hour the guy's on the break, you're going to help him flip burgers. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. You know what you're doing. In our business, in our line of work, the entertainment business, we don't know what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
So we have to find other ways to be able to keep ourselves sane and find friends like us outside of this which is the reason why I don't like to talk our professions when we do stuff like this, because that's the last thing, you know, we want to talk about. But I definitely, speaking in the soccer, man, I say this because I am so interested in learning. I don't know what all sides is. I know who the forwards are and the guards are very minimally. And I really want to learn. I'm fascinated by the amounts of cardio these guys have, how intense these guys are in playing soccer, and how the mind to be able to not use your hands unless you're a goalie is just the amount of training that takes, because your naturally instinct is to go with your hands. So it's something, man, that I really am interested in, man. I don't care if you just send me a YouTube link of learning soccer for beginners or something, bro. I am fascinated on learning this because I'm like, this is $1 billion business. And these guys are making these contracts, these guys are making. What?
Well, let me tell you this. So like one of the craziest things about soccer, right, in comparison to American sports, right? So you've got like 30 professional basketball teams. Is it 32 football teams? Am I right?
Yes.
So many, probably 30 odd baseball teams, whatever, like, you know what I mean? So soccer has maybe over 1,000 professional clubs. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
And I'm maybe underselling that. So to give you an idea, like, so my country is a tiny country, maybe a million people, 1.5 million, 2 million people live in Northern Ireland. We have a professional league, right? We have 2 professional leagues actually. So that's like 20 odd teams or whatever in this tiny country, right? Then like Republic of Ireland is slightly bigger. It's like 4 million people, and it's got another like 20 odd teams or whatever, 40 odd teams, and that's 2 tiny countries put together. And they're not even at a high level, but they're all earning professional living playing the game. Then you go to England, and England's where it's one of the biggest leagues in the planet, and they've got 20 top teams in the top league, but there's 4 top leagues. So like you can get relegated and promoted out of the top leagues. So that puts you up to like nearly 100, 120 professional teams. And then even below those leagues, there's even more professional, semi-professional and amateur teams. So, and this is just, I've just given you in a couple of countries. Scotland has the same thing. Wales has the same thing. And then like you're talking about Italy, Spain, Holland, you know, there's just all of them, all the way to Africa, all the way across the United Arab Emirates and stuff like that, South America, North America, like almost every country in the world has professional soccer teams. So one of the craziest things, so there's maybe 5 top leagues in the world right now. And like, that's debatable because sometimes, you know, it could be there's 6 or 7, whatever else, but English league, Spanish league, Italian league, German league are the kind of top 4. And then the final one changes between the French, the Portuguese, the Dutch. And I'm missing one, you know, so I'll probably get heat for this, you know, I'll get heat for it. Right. But those are the top leagues. Right. But if you're playing in that top league, in one of those top 4, because they have European competitions, which means you can play against other teams from those leagues in what's called the European Championship Cup. The Champions League. There's also like a secondary European league and a tertiary European league just started.
Jesus.
And you know, it gives you an idea because that's so many clubs with so many fans all across the world. We got 2 billion people watch soccer. You know what I mean? Sometimes more, maybe it's 3 billion, 4 billion, whatever. And I've missed the likes of China and stuff there, which was a big player a couple of years ago. Which is hilarious because, you know, that came out of nowhere and they've kind of died off a bit because there's some problem with finances, whatever else. But, you know, that just gives you an idea, like all these huge leagues, huge teams, whatever else. And like some of these clubs have been going for 130 years. You know what I mean? Like it's absolutely insane. I mean, like, so I've supported Manchester United since I was 3 years old. I think I broke my dad's heart when I started supporting them because he lived in Manchester. Him and my mother, actually, they met in Manchester. And there's 2 major Manchester clubs, Manchester United, Manchester City. I've supported Manchester United, but my dad hated them. He liked Manchester City.
Okay, I heard United before. I heard that name before. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah. So Man United's one of the top brands. They're like the Yankees or the Lakers or whatever else.
Smart choice joining them, brother. Smart choice.
Well, honestly, they've been shit for the last 8 years, so that's the only problem for me. Like they've been one of the worst teams in England, but they're really good right now. So as a fan, it's quite good for me. But we went through a period when I was growing up where they were awful when I first started supporting them, but they had Irish guys playing in their team, so that's why I got into them. And also, like, you know, we were in Manchester a lot because that's where my parents met and all that stuff, right? So that's how I kind of got into United as a supporting team. But by the time I was like 7, they became one of the top teams in the world. And then I grew up, like, I'm talking about 20 years of my life, they were the top team in the world. And then this last 8 years, they've been quite poor, but they're kind of finding their feet again. But it's one of those things, like, my entire world has been football. And as I explained to you, I just explained that to you really badly, by the way. There are thousands of professional teams, professional leagues. And that's why it's so crazy. Like we'll get a random player from a random country who's just as good as anyone else. Because the support system, the coaching is just as good in a small country as it is. You know, one of the craziest breakouts in the world recently has been there's 300,000 people live in the country of Iceland, and they had which is 300,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. And their team beat England in the World Cup about 8 years ago, whatever it was, which is insane. Like, you know, England is 60 million people or something like that.
That's crazy.
And Iceland not only has enough professional players, but they're all playing in top leagues. So it's mind blowing what they were able to do in such a tiny country. But it just gives you an idea, the right coaching, you know, the right circumstances, anybody can get good at this game because you don't need money to play football. You just need to have a ball, you know, and like, I think that's why it's so successful across the world, because you can make a ball if you have to make a ball. We did, like, when I was a kid, you would use, like, you know, a jumper for for goals. You know, would make posts out of things, and, you know, if you had a shit ball, you had a shit ball, but you would do whatever you could to play, and that was just the passion, you know. And like, because it's so cheap to play, everybody plays. Like the likes of Brazil, and the poorest place in Brazil to the richest place in Brazil, it's the number one sport, you know. And it's I know all across Africa, football is the number one sport. Like it's crazy. Like the different regions of the world that it's now becoming so big in Asia and stuff like that as well. So like, but that's one of the coolest things about the sport. Like I've loved it my entire life, and one of the coolest things is learning about it and learning like where it started. Like in China, they had a type of football like years ago before it became professional, and because I think it was invented in England or supposedly invented in England, but
Right.
there's all this historical documentation that there was a game similar to it in China. So it's so interesting. Like, you know, you start reading about it, hearing about it, and like then, you know, I get to share the passion with the thousands of people who talk to about it on a regular basis, you know. So but no, dude, like it's been this huge passion for me. And like one of the coolest things is as I get older, I can dedicate a little bit more time to it. When I was younger, I couldn't like, so Saturdays I'd be wrestling every Saturday. I'd be wrestling every Sunday, whatever it is. So I'd miss a lot of games, you know. But like as I get older and stuff like that, I'm able to watch games. At least now we can watch things on our phones and stuff. So I'd be at shows. You'll love this. I'll be at shows, NXT taping, right? And I'd be sitting there with my phone, watching it on my phone while people are talking, whatever we have to do later on that day. So Drake Maverick would be coming up to me and he'd be like, "Oh, what are we doing?" I was like, "I don't know. We'll talk about it after 5 o'clock. I'll watch the end of this and then we'll worry about it, bro."
Yeah, like, look, man.
But you know, honestly, like, you know, I know I'll do my thing. I'll be professional, but you know, let me watch my game first.
You looking at the time. You're like, all right, it's 4:32 at 5 p.m. You can come talk to me.
I'm all yours. Then, I'm all yours at 5 p.m., bro. I promise.
Until then, brother, do not talk to me, brother. I have no idea. I'm gonna forget it. I don't care. 5 p.m. Let's revisit this.
I'm your guy. I'm honestly before 3 o'clock. I'm your guy. After 5 o'clock, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Between 3 and 5, go fuck yourself. You know.
Don't say nothing. I have nothing to talk about, right?
That's but what I'll do is I'll get an idiot's guide to this for you, right? There's a really cool YouTube channel called Tifo Football.
Okay.
And I think they work with the Atlantic, which is like a news sort of site.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Sure.
And they're pretty good at explaining some things, but I'll get a couple of links for you. And like, you know what? It's one of those sports. Like, there's times where the US is actually really good at it. Right now, they've got a lot of really good young teams in the US. Young players in the US that are playing in the top leagues across the world. So in the next 4 years, the US men's national team is likely going to be pretty good. The women's national team has been incredible for the last 12 years, maybe 16 years. But like the men's national team has had like peaks and troughs because the rest of the world is just so good. Yeah. But they've got like at least 4 or 5 really top young players right now. So if you get in now, then I promise you, bro, in 4, like maybe, so the World Cup's in 2 years. No, it's in a year. World Cup's in a year. And then 4 years after that, they're going to be really sick. I promise.
Okay. So now I've been hit you up like, so-and-so's really good. So-and-so's good. You'll be like, no, he's okay. He's getting better. Okay. And I'll know people by name and what they do, their position.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
I got it. Okay. I got it. I'm going to do my homework, man. We're going to have to talk about this. Give me a year. Let me sit down and really watch. I
think the World Cup is coming in 2026, I think, to America. So I think I'm going to double check that.
I have to know some of these people. I got you.
We'll get you figured out before then, bro. I promise.
I got you, brother. I got you, man. Hey, man, let's switch the gears a little bit on this conversation really quick. Motivation, you know, we all have things that motivates us, you know, with your profession, what you do, you know. Tell me a little bit about, you know, about life and what motivates you each and every day to be the best husband, the best man, the best wrestler, the best Damo that you can be each and every day? What are some things that motivate you as a person to keep you on the positive trail?
That's a really good question. So like, I think like when I was a kid, I think my motivation was to try something. You know, I wanted to try to be a wrestler. I never had any delusions that I could do this. It was like, I wanted to try it. And then once I tried it, I wanted to get, you know, to a point where I could be on shows. That was my next motivation. And then after then, it was like, okay, I want it to be a hobby. I want it to be a part-time job. I want it to be a full-time job. I want it to be a career. So my thing has always been have little goals. And like, you know, I kind of explained it there very quickly. Some people have come up with grandiose, like, I'm going to do this with my life. Mm-hmm. And if they do that, that is fucking awesome. Like, I'm slightly different. I've always had little goals. with the concept of reach that, get to the next one, reach that, get to the next one.
I'm the same way. That's where I've been too.
Dude, like, you listen, like, I'm fully aware. I come from this tiny country. There's only been one there's been lots of professional wrestlers that come out of Northern Ireland, but only one ever made it to the United States. Only one ever became famous, and that was Fit Finlay. And he became famous because he was so good. It was
right.
no other reason. It was just that he was so good at what he did. So my whole thing was, okay, if I have to follow in his footsteps, I have to be really, really good. Because if I can get to 25% of how good he is, then I will be a success. You know what I mean? And that was literally my goal. Was literally step one was literally see if I can fall over. Cool. Step two, can I have a match? Can I do this regularly? Step three was literally dedicate all my finances to getting good at this. And I did.
Ticker.
Like that's
the ticker. That's the ticker right there.
A lot of people are waiting for stuff to be handed to them, and I get it. It's a difference in mentality. I get it. Like, we come from a different era now. People have a different mindset, and I get all that. But for me, I was willing to chase my dream as best as possible, put myself in the best opportunity as I could. I spent every last penny that I could on making this work. And I'm so glad that I did, because I had decisions to make at different times. And I know for a fact the number one reason why I was a success was because I asked for advice and I listened to advice. One of the main problems with people I've met throughout this journey who haven't succeeded is because they've asked for advice and then haven't listened to it, or even worse, they just don't ask for the advice, and that can work. Listen, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 100 people don't need to listen to advice and they succeed. That's awesome, right? But 99 out of 100 people need the advice from the right people at the right time to get to where they were. And I've got a long list of people who helped me get to where I got to,
Absolutely.
And listen, I know that, like, that sounds so simple to people, but honestly, like, if you're in a situation, if you're in a small country, a small town, small village, whatever else, if you have to move, you move. I moved countries just to learn how to do this. And it was scary at the time, but it was the best decision I made. Then when I was in a school, it wasn't good enough. So I went and found other schools and I found other coaches. And I was wrestling for 7 years before I finally found Robbie Brookside. And he was able to help me get over, because I was at a plateau. I was not getting any better, right. And I couldn't figure out why. I was frustrated,
right.
And I couldn't figure out why I wasn't hitting, my next goal, which was,
absolutely.
I'd got myself to a certain level. I was just kind of stuck, and Robbie helped me get to that next level. And it's things like that you need to no matter what you're into, if it's music, or even if it's your normal work, your day-to-day, whatever you do, like, there's always going to be somebody who can help you, you know what I mean? And, like, if you're not willing to ask advice, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's, if you think you're always right, it's not going to work, and like that is the truth. Yourself, like, from what you do,
oh my God,
like, you've met some amazing people in this industry, bro, who've helped get you to your next level. And then you'll meet somebody who'll just blow your mind, and that's just the beauty of life, is like, I'll meet somebody who's got a completely different perspective to me, and it just opens my mind, and I've been very blessed. Like, as I said, Robbie Brooks is one of the people who got me to that next level, and he meant that those little goals that I was making, I could start making more and further goals. And, like,
further goals,
I remember,
right.
So I'm sitting in 2011. I've just started working with Robbie Brookside, and then I started creating goals. Okay, I want to work for this company, and this company. And by the end of, I think it was 2013 or something, with 2014. So I ticked all those off, and then I was like, oh shit, I need more goals. And then the next, okay, I want to do this, and this,
mm-hmm.
and that was it. And then, like, suddenly I'm in 2015. I've just wrestled some of my heroes. I'm getting courted by Japanese companies. I'm getting courted by WWE and stuff like that. And you're just like, I'm at that level because, I've pushed at different parts. When I've hit the plateau, I'm sure, have I been pissed off? Sure, of course I've been pissed off, have I been confused? Absolutely. But I was able to break through the plateau each time. And one of the cool things about my life right now is I get to now make new goals, and I get to make new decisions about what's next. And that's just with work. You were saying, like, what about, when I wake up every day, like, when what I want to do. Listen, like the number one thing is I just want to be better tomorrow than I was today.
Amen.
I'm like I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was a kid, I was dumb. I made a lot of mistakes. I
Me too.
I insulted people. Probably made things awkward for people, and I've always tried to learn, because you know what, like I fully believe you can better yourself as a human, as an intellectual, as a philosopher. I know I'm a very different person than I was 5 years ago. I'm a even
Amen.
incredibly different person than I was 10 years ago. But like, I believe you can learn. I believe you can adapt. I believe you have to compromise. I've believed that all my life. You know what I mean?
Nuggets, guys. Listen to what this man's saying. I'm telling you, these are the conversations we have all the time. Successful people say all the time. And really quick before you finish your point, I just want to tell people really, really quick, man. It's just there's games about relationships, knowing people. I don't care. You can be in the gym and do 500 push-ups. You can be able to rap 15 words a second. You could look like a physical specimen. You can have the number one song on the radio. Somebody has to open a door. There's only so far you can get before somebody has to say, okay, he's good. And I'm telling you, it happens like that because there's certain people in positions, and whatever you do in life, which is the reason why I say do not, if you're going to burn a bridge, make sure you never have to go back toward that bridge again, because you're going to see everybody on your way up and on your way down. The same people a lot. So not to interject on your point there, but just saying really quick, just to give the following point up to the guys. This is not a game. This is a lot of work. I invest money into my music each and every day. Sometimes I go without. One thing about the entertainment business or hustle, we learn how to be minimalist very fast because we have to live without a lot. We live in off cans of beans and stuff sometimes to get here. And this is not no joke. So when you look around your house and you all of a sudden got a bed and you got some furniture and the bills are paid and you can pay your phone bill 3 months ahead, you appreciate that because
Yeah.
how much we have to go through, man. Tell me a little furthermore going to this point. What is a story? Tell us a little story about a down period in your life where you was at your lowest and then it just changed. A miracle happened. Tell us a little story about that.
I don't know if I ever had like that miracle happening. But like, listen,
right.
I was I was home.
Right.
No, not at all. Like, listen, I had a period in like '07 or so. I was backpacking around Australia, and then I came back to the UK, and I was homeless. I didn't have a lease for an apartment or anything like that. I was a friend of mine put me up on his couch for like a few weeks, and that was it. That was the kindness that I needed to get my life together and get to the next level. You know what I mean? Get a job, then get a place and stuff like that. Like that kindness that my friend showed me at the time, I've tried to reciprocate multiple times after, because if it wasn't for him doing that for me, I would have maybe had to move back to Ireland, and then this dream might have ended, really early. And like I don't like to make this big song and dance about it because, right, listen, I was very, very lucky. I had parents that who had a house in Ireland, but I was still wanting to chase this dream. But as I said, I was spent all my money to do this one experience in a foreign country. And then like I come back and like, you have to make decisions about what's next. I chose the life experience because, I wanted to do it. You know what I mean?
Amen.
Like I was young. I was young enough to do something like that, and I'm so glad that I did. It was an experience that nobody can ever take away from me. Like everything else I spent on went on wrestling. So I finally had this period. I was working in a nightclub. I was a bartender. I saved up all this money. I went to Australia. I had a great time. I came back. I don't have a job at this point. I don't have an apartment. And you have to make decisions. And I knew, like, because I'd managed to get like 6 weeks off wrestling, whatever it was, or maybe it's 2 months off wrestling, whatever. And then boom, you're getting back into the wrestling habit, whatever else, and you get so much you need to do. And listen, I'm so glad I did it. But like I got out of there, by the grace of somebody put me up for a few weeks, and then you're back on your feet and blah blah blah. It's like I think that helped me a lot, because I know that after then, like I helped a lot of people who needed help, you know, people who crashed with me for 6 months or whatever else. And, you know, is because, you know, somebody was able to help me so much, and that opened my eyes. Um, and that, you know, Neil will be a lifelong friend for me, you know, as a guy who looked after me when I needed it, you know. And like, you know, thankfully, you know, we've been able to return the favor and stuff like that. So that was that was more of a personal problem. But from a professional problem, like as I said to you, in that 2009, the recession hit, and the buildings went down hot, like really hard, like money just completely left wrestling, and it was very difficult to get work. And oh, I ended up taking over a wrestling school at the time, and it was difficult. It was slim pickings to try and you know, continue getting everything working and going,
Right.
and for my own career and for the school and stuff like that. And like I made decisions that impacted me financially, but ended up being massive for a lot of the guys who were coming through, and the guys and girls who were coming through. And like, I'm so glad I made them, because the long-term benefits, like for me and for a lot of the talent, were incredible. Like I was able to bring in like the likes of Ultimo Dragon and all these people like from the wrestling world who, like, you know, these huge names who are able to impart their wisdom and stuff like that. Like,
Right.
and then eventually finding that hookup with Robbie Brookside and stuff like that. Like, and he was able to blow my mind and blow the mind of so many other people. Like, and like Nikki, my wife, like he helped her.
Shout out Nikki.
There's the Coffee Brothers over in NXT UK, and there's so many others who like, Brookside just was able to help. There's just so many. There's Joe Hendry and Ring of Honor. Like, there's a bunch of them who were you know, were able to get helped, and it was because of the decisions we made around that time. And you know, it wasn't great for me financially, for example, but it worked out great long term for so many people, and I'm so glad that we did it. Dude, like honestly, if you're willing to gamble, um, like if you make your decision based on like intelligence, then it won't feel like a gamble at all, you know. Because I was like, yes, I could have had this amount of money that month, yes, I could have had a hell of a lot better, but I maybe would never have got to where I got to eventually, you know what I mean? So I think a few weeks eating tuna fish and dry pasta, whatever else was worth it, man.
Damo, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, Damo. I got something to tell you that it haunts me in my life that, you know, if you decide to have kids one day, or talking to family members, or some young guy, some young person in the business, whatever, you know, that person that asked you that question, you telling stories. I didn't want to be that guy that worked a 9 to 5 at the computer all day, and then when somebody asked me my life stories, I had nothing to tell them. I just worked 40 years of my life, got a pension, and then by the time I could enjoy it, I'm 60 years old. So I didn't want to be that guy. I would live without, if I had to live without my 20s and 30s to get something by the time I'm 40, to be able to say I lived a life, to be able to tell people and to enjoy it and to live, than to just be in a system, in a structure, and to have money, but to have no experiences besides my little 7-day vacation I get throughout the year. But I'm miserable at my job. You know what I mean? I'm the general manager at such and such, but I'm miserable. I see too many people doing that. I feel like we are the survivors and everybody else is the zombies. That's how I feel. I feel like we're the survivors because we got tested. We got tested early. I feel like we're the survivors. We know combat, and everybody else is like these zombies. They're just walking towards you like this each and every day, and they're living.
Like, and you're speaking my language here. I'm a big zombie guy.
Right.
But like honestly, so listen, there are better talent than me who came through in my life, who never made it and never got past a certain point because they just refused, to get better, or they couldn't see the path. And like I'll be honest, there's been guys in my life who I was convinced they were nailed on to be fucking megastars. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so, and not just this at soccer and at other things as well. You know what I mean? Like, not just at wrestling, and like even like I you don't know if you can see this. I've got a drum kit back here, right? I was a drummer when I was a kid. I drummed in bands and stuff, and I played with some guys who went on to do okay for themselves. I was average, just so we're clear. I was average. I had to sell my kit when I was 21 years old to pay for rent. And last year during the pandemic, I bought an electric drum kit, which is a cool way to reconnect with what I used to do.
There you go, brother.
That was a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah,
you know, we're all blessed. Listen, I'm not brilliant at it, but I have a lot of fun doing it. You know what I mean?
that's all that matters, brother.
That's it. But listen, I met guys in that industry, in the music industry, who were fucking incredible, man. But they just couldn't hear it. They just couldn't hear they got themselves onto huge tours. They got signed to record labels and stuff like that, bro. But they couldn't hear what they needed to hear, and now they're working in normal jobs and stuff. And it's sad because like they were talented, you know. And the same thing happened in wrestling. The same thing happened in soccer. I've met people who were incredible, like honestly, like God-given talent. There was a guy who I started training with in pro wrestling who just got so good so fast that it must have got to his head, because you know he never got past a certain point. And it's sad because like if you'd have told me when I was a kid that I was the success and he wasn't, I wouldn't have believed you. You know what I mean? Like I just wouldn't, you know. But that's, as I say, like when I hit the same plateau as him, I met the right people to get me past it. And like that's the key. And you know, like you have to be open, you have to be open-minded, you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror. And that's what I was able to do. Is I looked at myself in the mirror in 2011, I think it was 2010, actually 2011, and I realized I looked like everybody else. I had short hair, I had stubble, right? And that was just the same look as everybody else, bro.
That mirror look is uncomfortable, boy.
But I honestly, all the other times before that, I would look at that mirror every week and I didn't see a problem, right? And then eventually I finally saw a problem.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. And it was Robbie Brookside once said to me, he said, listen, what's your X factor? You know, and I'm like, I hate using that term, but it was so important because I didn't have one. You know, I was just a good talent like everybody else. I looked like everybody else. I acted like everybody else. And you know, I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting chances and opportunities. And like he explained it in one really simple night. He just said, like, what's your X factor? And that was it. He said, you're a good talker, you're a good wrestler, you're a good performer, you're great at helping people, whatever else. But like, you know, like why should anybody use you? And I was like, oh wow, shit. And then you know, you start looking at that mirror and you start thinking. And honestly, like about a year after that, it really clicked because a commentator kind of noticed what I was trying to do. I was getting a little bit bigger at this point. I was starting to grow out my body hair. And he called me the Beast of Belfast, Billy Kirkwood. He was a commentator for ICW in Scotland. He called me the Beast of Belfast, and bro, that was the click that I needed. And it was like I was already on that path. I had started growing out the beard. I'd started growing out the hair, the body hair, everything else. Yeah, I like you. I've got your quarantine beard. I love it, bro. And honestly, so he called me that, and that was it, bro. That's all I needed. Like, and inspiration comes in so many different ways. Because listen, if I hadn't heard that at the time, I know I'd eventually have got there in a different way because I was slowly coming up, but it might have taken years, you know.
But you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there.
I think I was on the right path at that point because I was powerlifting. I was eating 6,000 calories a day. I was getting bigger. I knew what I was getting towards, but it was having that right person at the right time call me the Beast of Belfast, and that was it, bro. I knew what I wanted to be right from then. Like, and that I looked different to everybody else, and it was no surprise that within 2 years, like I got the wrestle everywhere, you know, and like, because I looked different, I acted different, I wrestled different, and like the crazy part is, I was probably a better performer 3 years before that, insofar as like, you know, maybe the moves were cooler, maybe like whatever else, but you know, the image wasn't there, and like nobody cared. And then suddenly I walk out looking like this, acting like this, talking like, you know, more aggressively, whatever else, you know, and you know, good things happened. And
I had to learn that too. I had to learn. I had to learn when I started I'll start just on the podcast with Swerve. I'll strictly stay there. I was next to a guy who knew what it was to be a star as yourself, other people on TV. I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was. You know what I mean? I didn't know until I sat back. I said, I studied Swerve. I studied other guys to see, okay, how can I stand out and have my own way of standing out without just being this guy, okay, we know Swerve, but we don't know this guy. So how can I make myself fit within all these successful folks? Outside of this realm, I'm known, but in this realm, I'm not known to this mass of people. How can I make myself stand out, make it fit, and be able to give good conversations with these professionals and what they're doing? And it took a lot of standing in the mirror, bro. It took a lot of looking in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? I have to figure this out because I have this talent. I don't want to be just another podcast guy. 15 million people have them. What can I do to make the experience of when these people spend time with me, I can understand they can have a good conversation with me and say, you know what, that's one of the best interviews I've had in a while. And I can take that, you know? And but watching you and seeing what you've done with your career and seeing how you can just change it to this character when you do it, I'm like, yo, this is him. And then I'm talking to you now. I'm like, well, it's this amazing transformation. I believe it's in all of us. You know what I mean? And um, I understand that because I believe that it takes a lot of listening. It takes a lot of relationships, and it's the one thing that's hard for grown men to do is drop their ego. And we both dropped our ego, and we were able to say, okay, you know what? No matter what I think of myself, I'm not here yet. And a lot of men, like you said, that young guy who might have had everything, he got up to business early. Maybe that voice, he started listening to it. And that voice that's in your head that is kind of like the angel and the devil. When you start listening to that devil side, it can, man, and you start listening to that ego and you start feeling like you're the man and you feel yourself a little too much. It's something. There's nothing wrong with confidence, but I thoroughly believe in being as confident as you can in yourself and your abilities without having to treat other people bad to do it.
100%.
And it's like the great Deion Sanders said, okay, people look at me and they might think I'm arrogant and I'm cocky, but I never down talk them. There's not one opponent that can say I down talked them. And there's not anybody that can say that I did not treat them bad on the field. I just believe in myself. I'm marketing myself, but I never disrespected my opponents. And I always shook hands to the receiver before we played the game. So everything else in between them lines, whatever physical thing happened, we fought, whatever, didn't matter. I believed in me, and I believe I was the best, but I never down talked my opponent to do that. I believe that people can start to mess up when you start digging in that ego. The first thing you start doing is treating the others around you bad, and that's when the karma starts coming back. You can believe in yourself all you want to. I can feel like I'm the greatest rapper in the world. I do, but when it comes to other people, I never treat anybody bad because that's when you start getting checked. It's like, okay, bro, don't treat people bad just because you feel like you're at a good point. You know what I mean? You can always get better. You can always get better. You know what I mean?
That's the key, honestly. Like, I think that's one of the parts that stall people, is that they think, shit, I'm good. You know what I mean? But the truth is, you're only as good as the next guy. You know what I mean? Like, and that's, you're only as good as until like the next one comes along that you haven't met yet. You know, and like, I know that me personally, like in the position that I'm in, like, I, I'm now in a position where like there's going to be a whole swath of people coming through who I haven't met yet. You know what I mean? And that's people who I need to see, people I need to learn from, or people who I can help. You know what I mean? Like there's just so many more people I'm going to meet in the next few years, and that's so exciting because, like, you know, it's the next group to inspire you, the next group to push you, the next group to give you the kick up the ass that you need. You know, and I know you said it to me yourself, like when when you first started rapping with Swerve, for example, and you saw like he was very talented. From nowhere, you know what I mean? Like he was very inexperienced and he had like a natural ability, and that's something that you were able to help nurture and help him find the next level. That's something that I want to do when I go back onto the independence. Is I want to find that, you know, I was very blessed, the people who I met, the people who helped me, and I'm excited to see who I can help going forward, man. Because like I honestly, there's been a bunch of people like at different parts of my life who help me knowingly or unknowingly help me. You know what I mean? There's people who didn't mean to, and there's people who tried really hard to help me. And honestly, that's what I really want to try and do for the next generation, because the only way that this survives, this art form survives, is if people are better than us and learn from our mistakes. And that's what I'm really excited for, because listen, like this, it is art, and art is subjective, and I get that. And like right now, um, there's parts of wrestling that I love and there's parts that I don't love. But the parts that I love are the parts that I'm going to do my very best to try and help the next generation
I feel
with.
that way
You
as
know
a
what I
fan
mean?
too. I feel that way as a fan too.
But
What you're saying.
that's the same as anything.
Yeah.
If you like Marvel movies or you don't like Marvel movies, you like normal, like you like books, you like fiction, you like nonfiction. Like there's just, there's going to be times that you're very happy with what you like, and there's going to be times you don't like.
You
You know what I
don't
mean?
like it? Talk about it, man.
Listen, I really like Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds, and other people didn't like it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it seems
That
to be a meme that you're not meant to like it, but I liked it, bro.
as you know, I mean, there's certain people, certain songs, there's certain things, man. I don't that I like. The other people, everybody's got their taste. As long as you don't take it personal, everybody inspires everything. Everything hits different people a different way. Like when me and
Yes.
Swerve started making music, I said, bro, everybody's like, how do you guys like get along so well? I said, man, I'm not. Me and Swerve made a pact to each other. We're not going to let the business, women, or any money mess this up. With those three things, we're not going to let the business, ego, money, or women come in between anything that can come within this game. If there's anything we have to talk about, let's get on the phone, cuss each other out, and get it over with. You know what I mean? Like we never have to do that, but I'm saying we're gonna keep everything in house. Everything's gonna be in house. You'll never see us on social media going at it. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like everything's gonna be in house as brothers because that's the way that it should be. And we're never have no ego. We push each other to be better. I mean, he's pushing me on my fitness goals. I'm pushing him on the music side of things. So we're both, pushing each other on different things. And man, it's something because it just shows the testament to you for you to be as motivated and as dedicated as you are to your craft and still being humble for where you've been. You know what I mean? From the top to top of the levels to you starting from the very beginning, for you to be like, you know what, I still got to look in the mirror each and every day. And you know what? I might feel like when I leave the match, I had the best match on the card, or maybe I didn't. But you know what? I know I still have to get better. And it's maintaining that balance of self-confidence with knowing that, you know what, I'm still just a cog in the wheel of trying to improve and be the best Damo I could be. So, you know what, man? I want to thank you for coming on, man. I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to thank you so much for coming on, man. And as a brother, love to you and the wonderful wife. You guys treat me like family. Every time I hit you guys up, you hit me back. It's always love. You guys are two of the most humble and most respectful people I've met. I thank Swerve so much for introducing me to you guys. And big bro, love you guys and thank you so much. And we're gonna do that Magic game, and I'm gonna do my soccer homework too. The Magic games and the soccer homework too.
Oh, I'm excited, man. Listen, the World Cup is only a few years away, bro. It'll be here in the States, so we're gonna have to put the work in.
Absolutely, brother. Tell everybody where they can follow you, everything social media wise, bookings, things of that nature, to get this money, to hit Big Damo up, to get this money. You know what I mean? Tell them where to
So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Damo Mackle, all one word. You can also get me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Damo Mackle, cameo.com/Damo Mackle, prowrestlingtees.com/Damo Mackle. Yes, I've tried to keep everything my actual name. So Damo Mackle, there we go. So
there it is.
Everything you can think of, I've got it as Damo Mackle. So there we go.
Absolutely, man. I'm all about giving everybody their roses while they're here to smell them, pick them, and change them as they'd like. Because in this game, there's a lot of negativity, and it's very, very hard to sometimes just get some flowers. Say, you know what, I appreciate you, man. Sometimes that's all you need. And I just want to tell you, man, from man to man, as a younger brother of yours, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for all you've done for me. And I look forward to seeing you soon, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to hearing what's next for you, bud.
I'm working, brother. I'm working, brother. I'm working.
Album 31.
Album 31, brother. Technically, and I'm still getting better. Still trying.
Yes, sir.
Still
there
trying.
You go.
Putting a lot of work behind this, and yeah, man. Thank you for everything, brother. I look forward to seeing you soon. Give the wife my best, the family overseas my best, everybody the best. Best of health, man. And I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Have a good one, man.
Take care.
Now let go.